Happy Tuesday, August 17th to you. Tip of the Grant's Sound Advice coffee cup to you. Have a sip on me. Got it hot this morning. So Tech Tuesdays for the last 7 weeks, I've dedicated to beginning a voiceover business and starting a business in general. Voiceover tends to attract a lot of interest because people are like, oh, you do that? How do you do that? Oh, I want to do that. Oh, I've got a voice. Oh, I've got, all that. Interesting business. And you don't run into it like you run into realtors and lawyers and accountants, right? Fine. So episodes 1 through 3, I kind of talked about the space you record in, how to evaluate your space, what you can do about your space, whether you can maybe even record in your space. And I touched on equipment a little bit, but not really much. Go look at those if you're concerned about, can I even record in my house, my apartment, my condo, whatever. I'll reiterate that if you live in a loud, noisy condo with people or apartment building with people closing doors and there's a bus route right by and there's a railroad track behind you, you need to move, probably. Episode 4 was, do I have the right voice? And the answer was probably. The market is wide open for anybody that has a voice, quite frankly, and can read well and knows how to emote. So it's as much about the vocal cords and the sound you produce as the way you produce it. We had some coaching last night with a group I'm in, and we talked about the differentials we use when we're doing an audiobook. And there was a nuance there that I had missed so far. So I also talked somewhere in these about getting some coaching, even if it's a session or two early, just to see if you can do what we do, right? You probably have the right voice. 5, 6, and 7 were all about starting a business. It's wonderful to talk about voiceover and be here right by the microphone and do all this stuff and have this space and have these cool scripts. But if you don't know how to run a business, if you don't have the wherewithal to run a business, if you don't have the mindset, not the intelligence, the mindset to push through and persevere when you've got a bad month and you haven't gotten any scripts and you're like, knitting, professional knitting might be a good option. So all that has to go with starting really any business. I talked about business formation, things you're going to have to think about, accounting and bookkeeping and taxes and lawyers and all that kind of stuff. It's a business. It's in some ways no different than starting a lemonade stand, a landscaping company, whatever you have. So today I want to get into episode 8, which is about what equipment do I buy? Generally speaking, there is a string of equipment, and I'm going to start at the opposite base of what do you record into, and by that it's probably going to be a PC or a Mac. Ford and Chevy, folks. Ford, Chevy, Dodge, Toyota, Honda. There's little difference. There's nobody in the world that when you send them a file is going to listen to it and go, oh, that's a Mac. No. There's literally no difference. Most of the, what we call a DAW, digital audio workstation, most of the DAWs are available on both platforms. They both work the same. There are certainly Mac audio advocates that will tell you there is a difference. Most of the difference may be in interface, but here's the advice. If you're on a PC, and you've been on a PC since 1984, and you know code from the line, if you've been on a PC since XP, if you've never worked on a Mac, don't buy a Mac just to have a voiceover business. You are going to frustrate yourself with interface and where is this at and how come it works that way unless you're already ready to switch. That's simple. There's no reason to buy a Mac or not buy a Mac. So let's be on a Mac for a minute. I started with a Mac in like 85 or 86 with one of the original little boxy things with a little screen. I worked all the way up through a G3 Pismo, I think. Laptop. I had A 40 megabyte hard drive on my first Mac with a hard drive. 40 megabyte. I got that computer and I thought, what am I going to put on here? Every day I deal with files that are over 40 megabyte without even blinking an eye, and I've got a terabyte drive on my computer. Whatever you're going to do. Anyhow, things change, right? But the point is that somewhere in the late 90s, mid to late 90s, I had a huge number of customers for my marketing and web design business that were on PCs. And slowly but surely, I got nudged that way, and the need for a new computer, the need to have files that were easily transferred within programs that were on a PC, not on a Mac, blah, blah, blah. I switched. I've been on a PC for 21 years now. I'm not switching to a Mac just to get better sound. There is no better sound just because you're on a Mac, period. There, I said it. Anyone can argue with me, but I dare them to tell me the difference literally if they listen to a file. You can't. Okay, so from the PC, now let's go backwards from the top. Microphone. A microphone is usually an XLR, and that has to do with the three-prong thing that goes in the end of it, and it goes into an interface. This is analog. There's a little thing in there that vibrates and hears your sound and converts it into an analog signal and sends it down the wire. Now, if you're just on like an amp, a PA system, that goes down the wire and just goes right out. Nothing has to happen. But to get it into your computer, the computer has to hear digital, has to see digital. That means that waveform has to be converted into ones and zeros. That's what an interface does. Then from the interface, it goes into your computer. Usually that string is 3. There's other things that you can put in there. There's cloud lifters and thises and that's and 4 other things. Let's not confuse things right now. You need at least 3 pieces. You need a mic that goes into an interface that tells your computer, here's the signal. And then on your computer, you're going to need software. But that is not equipment. That's software. Excuse me a moment. By the way, like and subscribe if you would. Share with a friend. Okay. Coffee reminds me to say that. Okay. But which one, Grant? Can't tell you. Your voice, your space, the way you record is all going to determine what equipment you should buy. We've already talked about the PC or Mac. That's sitting there already, okay? It's done. The other 2 pieces you're going to need are the interface and the mic. Well, Grant, what do you use? Doesn't matter. You're at a networking function, and someone walks up to you and says, hey, I heard you're a driver. Yeah, I drive a car. Yeah, so you take it to work back and forth every day? Yeah. I am too. I want to start driving. What car do I buy? Do you need to haul stuff? Do you have kids? How far do you go? Are you on bad roads? There's 1,000 questions. That's the problem here. Just because I'm a voice artist and just because I have a setup and just because I bought equipment doesn't mean I know anything about how to help you. Here's what I'm going to suggest. There are many places you can buy equipment, and especially if you're on U.S. soil or at least in the Americas where basic shipping is available. There's a place called Sweetwater, and Sweetwater sells probably more sound equipment than just about any place. There's other places like Guitar Center and things like that. Great thing about Guitar Center, you can walk in there if there's one close. I don't remember where Sweetwater is. I think in Indiana, but I don't know that they have retail locations. But they're online, right? They've got technical people, salespeople, that do this all day long and have done it for years. Now, I got a guy there named Grant, fascinating there, that I could put you in touch with if you're interested. Call Sweetwater and say, here, I'm talking to you, listen to my voice. Here's my space, here's my thing, here's my budget. Because if you've got a $300 budget, they're going to give you different equipment than if you have a $3,000 budget. But tell them you don't want to spend money, you want to have good sound. I know people that as they have progressed in the industry, they have gotten different equipment. Like I've got my mic here and they've moved to a shotgun mic. And a shotgun mic is exactly what it sounds. It points right at you and that's the sound. It's a very narrow cone of focus. See how I did that, right? All right. Ask them what to buy. Tell them I've already got a PC. I've already got a Mac. And I need to record in a space that's blah, 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 blah. It's been treated like this. And they will suggest what interface and mic and quite frankly, a pair of headphones, which I kind of skipped over there. You want really good headphones. Ask Sweetwater what to buy because they'll be on the hook a little bit. And if you get it and you can't produce good sound, they've got great tech support. So you call them and say, I can't make my interface work. My thing isn't my what, and they will help you. I started with a different mic interface headphone combo than I have now because the interface just couldn't pull the sound out of this room and they switched it without charge. Okay. One thing I kind of glossed over, headphones. Again, there is no right set of headphones. Can you use earbuds? They're different than headphones. And could you use them? I don't know. I can't, but I'm sure you could. There's a difference in the way it treats your eardrums. That's all I can tell you. Finally, is in the equipment that you want in your space is a monitor. Now, a monitor is not a computer screen that I'm looking at here now, although that's what we called it. But in sound production, monitors are what we hear sound through in our space. And again, monitors treat sound differently than headphones. And so often when I'm reviewing a file, if I'm really critical, I will also turn on my monitor so I can hear that sound, and sometimes I just listen with headphones. Can you use a really good pair of Bose computer speakers? Yeah. The more money you spend on this, the better. I've got some really good Sony speakers. They're just like bookshelf speakers, like, this big. I don't know that I spent $100 on them, and they are exactly 6 feet away from me at an angle. And an angle is very important because that helps not bounce sound weird. And I listen to music all day long on those, so that's kind of a side benefit. And they do really good sound reproduction, and I've got a really good Yamaha amplifier, and I mean, it's a good stereo amp is what it is. And I feed my computer into that, and it goes out to my monitors. And just you might hear the difference in sound as I bring this up, and you can hear a little echo. That's because that's coming through my monitors, and now I killed them, and I'm just on the mic. So that's the equipment you need. There are a lot of people that can give you equipment advice. Oh, buy this mic, buy a Rode NT1, buy a Warm Audio 47, okay, there's 2 names I just gave you. You think, okay, I'll go buy those. Don't. Go to some place that knows sound, that is going to be on the hook a little bit for what you buy, because you can go to Facebook groups, and it's like fishing. If you ask 10 people what bait to use, you're going to get 15 answers, because somebody's got 2 ideas. So, strongly recommend you find some place like Sweetwater, Guitar Center, whatever's close to you. You might have a hole-in-the-wall audio place that sells to bands around the corner, and the guy is going to be awesome about this stuff. There's nothing magical about Sweetwater, except they can send you about 20 different interfaces tomorrow, and that guy probably can't. Anyhow, buy local. If you would, like and subscribe to the channel. I've droned on for quite a little bit here, about 13 minutes. This is one of the longest ones I've done, but I wanted to do a review to catch up a little bit, and I wanted to talk about equipment because this pretty much, to me, answers equipment. We've talked about the space. You have to have the equipment in the space to record well. We talked about getting a little bit of coaching to make sure you're ready to roll. We talked about starting the business. And so now that we've got that all set, now if all that's in line, now go spend $500 to $1,000 or whatever you can on equipment. Now, if you're ready, now is the time. So I hope this helped. If you have any questions, hit me in comments. Hit me at voicepro@grantsvoice.com. If you need any help, be happy to give you a little push that can in the right direction. Good luck with your journey in VO, and I'm not sure what I'll talk about next week, but I'm sure I'll come up with something for Tech Tuesday. Have a wonderful rest of your week. It's almost the end of, well, it's in the middle of August. Let's not go with it's at the end. 17th is the middle ish. All right. Thanks much. See you tomorrow.